computer. Let me start the timer so I don't go over the 30 minutes without knowing.
All right.
Okay. All right. Boom. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let me move this so you can see me. All right. What's up, y'all? It's UFC 300 is finally here, and the card is massive. Charlie T, he's in the building. What's up, man?
Stacked card. Very stacked.
Got
Got me wishing it was happening right now.
I know. We're 1 day away, one more sleep. We got the early prelims are stacked, the prelims are stacked, and then the main card too. So we're gonna go through at least our picks on the first two. We may not go too much into depth, and then when it gets to the main card, as usual, we'll give our standard, thoughts on those and the fight picks, and we'll go back and forth. The guest always gets the first pick. So let's start with the early prelims, Charlie. We've got a guy that we're both a fan of in this fight, both former champions, starting off early prelims with both former champions. We got Cody Garbrandt and Davison Figueiredo. Who's your winner and why?
I can't believe this is the opening fight on the early prelims. I'm taking Davison just because his last fight he handled Rob Font with ease for the most part, and when Garbrandt fought Rob Font, he got just dominated stand-up wise. So I'm taking Davison, and I am going to take him by unanimous decision, even though I could see him getting a knockout.
All right. Well, let's see, man. I'm going to start with this. I want Cody Garbrandt to win. I would love to see him get his career back on track. I'm a fan of his. I've met him before. He's been up and down because he's had a few cool knockouts recently, but he's also had the downside where he's not been his old self sometimes. So if I have to pick, which I'm starting to try to do a better job of, if I have to pick based on who I actually think is going to win versus who I want to win, I'm going to go with Figueiredo as well. So next fight on the early prelims, Bobby Green versus Jim Miller. This one I'll pick first. Bobby Green is a fan favorite. Jim Miller's a fan favorite too, but they're fan favorites for completely different reasons. One guy is been around forever, since UFC 100 and UFC 200. He was on both of those cards as well. And Bobby Green is he's a wild man. So, man, this one the odds are pretty even on. I think that they're two very different fighters in all different ways. I'm gonna go with Bobby Green, man. I think Youth gets this one.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the tape, they're just about even in everything. I think Miller might be 1 inch taller. They've got the same reach. They both got 71 reach. And, so Bobby Green's last fight, he fought Jalen Turner, who's also on this card.
Yep.
And it showed, Green's got impressive knockout power, but he's also very susceptible to getting knocked out.
Yeah, he doesn't have a granite chin.
Islam knocked him out. Drew Dober did, and Jalen Turner, his last fight, did. But also, he has really good knockout power.
Fast.
And he's proved against Tony Ferguson he can also submit you. And I don't know. I think Jim Miller's at the end of his career. I know he's won his last 2 fights. He had a really impressive win against Cowboy at I think it was 275 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I'm taking Green just because that knockout power he has, and I think he gets it done. I don't see this fight going 3 rounds. I think he knocks him out second round.
I think so too.
I think it's one of Miller's last fights in the UFC too. I don't think he has many more.
Yeah, I think he's kind of just padding those longevity stats at this point, which, good for him, man. That's amazing to be doing that for that long. But I think Bobby Green's speed is what's going to kill Jim Miller. Okay, so next fight on the early prelims, Jessica Andrade versus Marina Rodriguez. We're back to you with this pick. It's pretty even odds. Who do you got and why? Or just who
I
do you
like
got?
I like Rodriguez just because Andrade has been really streaky. I know she had that win against Mackenzie during her last fight, but before that, she had lost 3 in a row. And in some fighters' cases, you tend to see their peak window, and then you start to see them decline. I think she's in there. And Rodriguez had a really impressive win against Michelle Waterson in her last fight, so I'm going with her.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go with Marina Rodriguez as well. Like you said, Andrade is back and forth. She's kind of like, I don't know who would it be like. She's like someone that just kind of doesn't lose their explosiveness. Like she's still kind of like a Yoel Romero. He started losing, towards the end of his career, but he's just explosive. Could really take anyone out if they really land that right shot. But I'm going to go with Rodriguez as well. Okay, for the last fight on the early prelims, we've got Jalen Turner, who you mentioned, and Hanato Money Moicano. Jalen Turner's a negative 238 favorite. It is, let's see,
Thank you.
Yeah, it's back to me. Man, I like Moicano. I think he's a dog. And I think that he can get this one done. I think this is actually going to be a really good fight. It's just, whose night is it going to be? I don't really think the odds. I don't think Jalen Turner should be that much of a favorite, but this one I wasn't really sure on even coming into the pod, man. I'm going to go with, let's say Moicano dogs it out. What do you got?
I disagree.
Okay.
The reason why is, dude, this fight is a testament to just a sizing matchup because Turner has a 5-inch reach advantage. I believe he's 6'1", and Moicano's
He's
like
crazy.
5'7".
Crazy tall for the
The
dude.
size advantage is insane. That being said, if Moicano's going to win, he's going to have to close the distance and take Turner to the ground because he's pretty lethal on the ground. I think he has like 5 or 6 submission wins in the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
Don't quote me on that, but he's really good on the ground, and that's going to be the tail of this tape, but I don't think he gets it done. This size advantage is just too large. I'm taking Jalen Turner.
Okay.
UD.
All right. Moving on to the prelims. The first fight on the prelims, we've got Sadiq Yusuf versus Diego Lopez. Lopez has become a pretty big star out of Brazil. He's a slight favorite in this. Who do you got?
I like Lopez. I don't particularly care much for the Disney Plus star, and I mean reach advantage. Lopez has almost a 2-inch reach advantage. Good striker, good on the ground. I'm taking him.
Yeah, I've got Lopez as well. I think they're kind of helping him. I mean, the odds don't reflect this, but I think they're kind of helping him bud his career a little bit. They're giving him a lot of airtime and stuff and some extra promotion. I think they know he's kind of a big star, at least in Brazil, and he's probably making his way to be a big star here as well. I'm going to go Lopez. Next fight on the prelims, we've got Holly Holm versus Kayla Harrison. Holly Holm, obviously famous for becoming champion, knocking out Ronda Rousey the way she did. Kayla Harrison, famous for not being in the UFC, but dominating everyone she's pretty much ever fought outside of the UFC. Ground game specialist and Holly Holm, stand-up specialist. It's to me for the pick. Man, I really think it's going to be a semi-boring fight, and I think Kayla Harrison dominates with her grappling. I would love to see Holm spice it up on the feet. I just don't know that her grappling is good enough. So I've got Harrison.
Yeah, Kayla Harrison's going to dominate this fight once it goes to the ground. I mean, her judo skills are world class. Obviously, she's a gold medal winner, uh, and like we talked about earlier, fighters on the downside of their career. That's where Holly is, and this fight was tailor made for Kayla to come to the UFC and win pretty easily, and then start her ascent to the top. The only thing I could possibly see hurting her in this fight is the drain from the cut to 135, because she fought at 155 in PFL, but I don't see it. I don't see it hurting her performance that much because she's just really good. So yeah, Kayla Harrison, unanimous decision.
Okay. Yeah, I was worried about the weight cut for her too. I didn't know how she was going to make it because I don't think she ever fought at that weight in the PFL.
No, it's insane. She looked bad on the scale.
That's going to be tough to keep doing that. And then also, if she goes up a division, there's like nobody to fight at that next up division. But moving on, we've got Calvin Kattar versus Aljamain Sterling. Kattar is the dog in this. Sterling is a slight favorite. We're back to you with the pick. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because it's Aljo's first fight at 145.
Right.
And I think they set him up. I mean, meaning UFC, set him up for success here because Kattar's coming off 2 consecutive losses, and man, Aljo's just really good on the ground. He surprised me numerous times. Yeah, when he beat Peter Yan in that rematch, I was like, okay, this guy's got something. Like, 'cause I thought he was just a paper champ before that. So, all in all, I think I think he'll win this by submission. I think maybe like a rear naked choke in the second or third round. I'll go second.
I was going to say the same, man. I didn't know which round I was going to pick, but I figured he gets a submission as well. I think he's good enough on the feet to, even though Kattar's good too. Everyone was high on Kattar's stand-up until he fought Holloway and just got absolutely demolished. But I think Sterling's stand-up is good enough for him to get a chance on the ground, and when he gets it, he's going to take advantage. I don't think Kattar can hang on the ground. I think sub as well. So last fight on the prelims, this could, based on the star status of Yuri, could probably headline a fight night or something on its own. Yuri Prochazka and Alexander Rakic. And Yuri is actually the dog, bro. He's actually a plus 100, and Rakic is a negative 120, so he's a slight favorite. Pretty much even money, but I can't believe Yuri's not the favorite.
Me either. Unbelievable.
And I'm picking this one. I'm going to go Yuri, and I'm going to go either KO or TKO. I'm going to say second round. I think Yuri's going to be at least slightly hesitant in the first, or at least want to fill it out because of how the Pereira fight went. But I think he gets it done once he gets comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand the odds on this fight. Yuri's got a 2-inch reach advantage. Before his loss to Potan, he had won 13 fights in a row. That guy's a knockout artist. I'm not trying to take anything away from Rakic, but he hasn't fought in over almost 2 years. Ring rust is a legitimate thing. In his last fight was against Jan Blachowicz, and he lost. I'm always going to take the fresher fighter, especially someone who was winning, very consistently and doing it in impressive fashion. I mean, this guy just fought for a champion, or he was champion until his last fight. I'm taking Yuri. I think third round TKO.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that merry-go-round of champions lately in the 205 division just imagine how fun it would be to see Jones versus all of those guys individually. Like, they're all really good competitors, and I think Jones is, he's still the top dog, but I would love to see him fight all of them.
I mean, John Jones destroyed the light heavyweight division when it was at its peak. Like, he beat Rampage, he beat Machida, he beat Shogun. I mean,
It's too well rounded for a lot of these guys, but I would still love to see it. Okay, so we got our picks for the early prelims and the prelims. Now it's on to the main card. UFC 300. We got 2 title fights on the main card. Actually, you could say 3 if you count the BMF title fight. So let's start with the first one. Definitely the one that's not going to blow your hair back of all of the main card. We've got Bo Nickel versus Cody Brundage. And Bo Nickel is a negative 2,100 favorite. So, needless to say, everyone's going to pretty much count Cody Brundage out. And you're picking this one, so who do you got?
Yeah, it's Bo Nickel by murder in the first round. If he doesn't submit him, he'll just ground and pound him until he's fucking, gives up or the referee steps in. This fight was put on the main card just to boost Bo Nickel's profile, who the UFC sees as the next big thing. I think Bo Nickel has the potential to not only win the middleweight championship, but go up to 205 and be a double champion. His wrestling is that good. He's a three-time national champion. Dude, he wrestled under Cael Sanderson, who was arguably the best wrestler and now best wrestling coach in the history of the sport. He's won 11 national titles at Penn State as a coach now. Dude, Bo Nickel's he's a future phenom. He's unbelievable, and he gets it done easy.
Yeah, I agree. I think everyone agrees. I mean, unless you're, Cody Brundage's best buddy, you're probably not picking him to win this fight. And good luck to him. If he does, he'll shock the world. So next fight, we've got Charlie Olives. We got Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan. Tsarukyan is the favorite. He's negative 225 from Armenia, fighting the Brazilian Charles Oliveira. We're to me with this one, man. Tsarukyan, he's the favorite like that, but I don't necessarily see it that way. I think it's a little bit of a hype train behind him right now. Charles Oliveira is definitely on the backside of his late career stardom, but I still think he's got gas in the tank, and I think this is going to be a really good fight. I think this is going to be one of the close, maybe not the closest fight on the card, but it's going to be a good fight, better than a lot of people think. And I've got Charlie Olives, man. I think he's going to win via submission.
So this fight was tough for me because it's really a battle of contrasting styles. You got, Oliveira, who wants to go to the ground. He's a submission artist. And Arman is a fucking, knockout artist.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, let's look at their last fights to see, how impressive they were. But their last fight, both of them knocked out Beneil Dariush.
Mm-hmm.
Literally both, that was their last fight. Fought the same guy, both knocked him out. This was really tough. I don't know, man. My gut just says Arman's going to take this. His striking is good, and if he can withhold a takedown attempt from Oliveira, I think he wins it. But also, something that's pretty common in an Oliveira fight is with Chandler, with Gaethje, with Poirier, he got his ass whooped in the beginning of the fight and just withheld the storm and then submitted them.
Yeah, up and down.
Obviously not Chandler. He had won with TKO, but he withheld the early barrage and then came back and won. I think this fight, Arman unleashes on him, but I don't think he's able to withstand the barrage. I think he loses. I'm gonna second round knockout.
Ooh, knockout, second round. Okay, so we picked pretty big difference in our picks on that one. I got a sub for Charlie Olives, and you got the KO for Sorokin. All right, we got the BMF title on the line in this next one. Justin Gaethje is the reigning BMF champ, if you will, and he's also ranked number two at lightweight. Max Holloway is coming up a division to fight, and it's got him ranked number two, which I assume is for the featherweight division. And so it's Gaethje versus Holloway. Gaethje is a slight favorite, -170. Let's see. Who's picking now?
I think it's me.
Yep, it's you again. Who you got?
Okay, so, Holloway had a really impressive last fight against Korean Zombie. But, okay, so in his career, tell me if I'm wrong, he's fought one time at 155, correct?
I believe so, against Dustin Poirier.
Dustin Poirier.
And it was short notice, I think.
It was, but at the same time, he was the favorite in that fight. He was expected to get that 155 interim belt and then fight Khabib. And Dustin pieced him up over and over and over and over in that fight. And, arguably, when it comes to boxing and heavy hands at 155, Gaethje is arguably, he's got heavier hands than Poirier.
Yeah, I would say.
I just don't see, with Holloway's inability to miss big strikes and constantly take damage, I just don't see him beating Gaethje here. Gaethje is so good stand-up wise. And I think this is an all-out brawl. I think it's a war. But I think Gaethje wins by unanimous decision. I think he fucks Max up.
Yeah, man. I agree with all of your thoughts on Holloway and Gaethje as well. I do think Gaethje's heavier handed, and I think that he's definitely more of a volume fighter than Gaethje is. He doesn't really have the knockouts and the knockout power like Gaethje has, and he's coming up a division, which is kind of a scary thought. He just kind of death by 1,000 cuts, if you will, is how he pretty much beats everybody. He just makes them look bad with his volume, cuts them up, brings them into a war, deep waters and all that, and then he wins that way. But I don't see that necessarily happening with Gaethje. I think the only Max's route to a win would be out pacing Gaethje and then just having more dog in him in the end, more pace. But I think that if Gaethje's going to have plenty of chances to land that big shot, and it's going to come down to can Gaethje's shots knock that chin of Max that's never been knocked before. He's never been dropped. And he could still win a decision as well. All he needs is a few big shots to steal rounds. But I see Gaethje winning, and I don't know how it's going to go down because there's a part of me that just doesn't want to accept that Max might get knocked out for the first time, but it may be what happens. I'm going to go Gaethje as well.
Yeah, I don't think Max will get knocked out, but I do think he will get pieced up.
Yeah, there's a decent chance, but I will put it on record. Even though I'm a fan of both, I'm rooting for Max for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got the women's strawweight title fight. We've got Weili Zhang versus Yan. I'm not even going to try to say her name because I don't want to butcher it.
It's hard to pronounce.
Both women from China. Weili Zhang's obviously the champ, and Yan is ranked number one. So, number one versus the title holder. And I think that most people would agree this is a fight that I don't know why the odds aren't listed here on the UFC's website. Maybe because they're through the freaking roof, but it should be Zhang as the heavy favorite, and I've got it that way as well. I don't know enough about Yan to really base my decision off of her game, but I'm gonna go with Weili winning by let's go TKO in the second.
Well, earlier we mentioned when the Garbrandt Davison fight, we mentioned the Rob Font Garbrandt fight where Rob Font pieced up Garbrandt and won by decision.
Mm-hmm.
That was the fight that Jan was on that card, and she fought Carla Esparza, and Carla Esparza knocked her out, and we just saw Zhang, handle Esparza pretty handily.
Oh yeah.
And I don't see this fight. I don't think Zhang loses a round in this fight, or is pressured at any point. I don't see her losing. I don't see anything. I think she wins. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. This is gonna sound. I'm gonna go submission, rear naked choke. I know she hasn't had one. If she has had one in the UFC, she got Carla Esparza with one. But I think she gets her to the ground. She starts, pounding her. She gets her back and sinks it in. And I'm gonna go third round.
I wouldn't doubt it. I think this is pretty much a China promotional fight is really what this is. And I know that they are really big into growing the sport over in China right now, and Weili is the star, so what better way than to give her another woman from China to fight and probably dominate. And if she wants to get a sub and wants to kind of pick the way she wins this fight, she probably has that choice. But kind of like the Brundage fight, good luck to Jan because she's got a big hill to climb. So the main event of UFC 300, quite possibly the most exciting card of all time. It's definitely the most stacked card of all time. We've got Alex Poatan Pereira versus Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill. The odds are pretty even. We've got a negative 135 for Poatan and a plus 114 for Hill. Hill's the former champion, Poatan's the current champion, but Hill never really lost his title. He got injured, so he had to give it up. And props to him for not holding up the division. But I'm glad he got back to getting this title shot since he didn't lose his belt. So, Charlie, who do you got in the biggest fight possibly of all time?
The biggest fight of all time?
Biggest card.
Biggest card. Let's see.
The main event of the biggest card. Definitely not the biggest fight.
Honestly, I'm very disappointed that this is the main event for UFC 300.
100%.
The light heavyweight division in the UFC is not what it used to be. It is, one of the weakest divisions, I would say, at this point in time. The light heavyweight division.
Maybe.
Light heavyweight and heavyweight in the early years of the UFC, especially the mid to late 2000s, were the most stacked divisions.
Yeah, there was some legends in there, for sure. But
best fights came out of there. And, okay, so Jamal Hill hasn't fought since he fought Glover. Was it January? So it's been like a year and it's almost been a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to take into account potential ring rust. And, Poatan has fought twice since then. And I'll be honest, that fight he had against Blachowicz was not impressive. His first fight at 205. I honestly thought that decision could have gone to Blachowicz. But, man, he put on a show against Yuri. And this dude has some serious knockout power. That being said, though, so does Jamal Hill.
Yeah, he's definitely right there with him, and he's a true 205er.
He is. But I can't pick against Poatan in this fight.
So you got Poatan by what?
I got Poatan by knockout. One of these motherfuckers are getting knocked out.
Yeah, I think that's guaranteed.
I'm gonna go Poatan, 4th round knockout.
All right, man, this is a tough one. become a fan of both. I love the fact, we all love watching guys that have power like either one of these guys. Both of them, crazy power. Hill is definitely not as technical. He's kind of more of a, I think he got this far because he has some natural ability, and then he learned skills behind it. I don't know how Pereira started, but I know one thing, he is extremely technical in his striking. So it's two very different ways of fighting. But they both became champ, and they're both, here. Hill's not the champ right now, but he's coming off injury. I think the injury plays a part in this because is his Achilles even fully healed? I know that they said it takes about a year for it to heal. A year for it to heal. Well, it's been about a year, So has he had time to heal and get back training fully for a while and get his feet under him? Pun intended. I don't know, but I want Hill to win for the storyline, and then I would love to see them have a rematch even. But when it comes to just my MMA knowledge tells me that Pereira is going to win.
No, I agree. I mean, it's hard to analyze a fight where the fighters both have great knockout power, but also same height, same reach, identical.
Neither one of them really want to go to the ground, but that could be a wild card if Hill decides to use the ground game, because not that he's great or dominant at it, but we know that Pereira is not good at it.
No. But that being said, he's a world-class kickboxer, so...
Yeah, you don't want to catch a knee coming in. That'll put anybody to sleep. Yeah, it's... Man, somebody getting slipped. I know that much.
Dude, I think there's going to be some... I mean, honestly, that... we could be getting our hopes up for nothing. We both thought, we thought 299 was a shit card, and then, it just had some great fights on it.
Yeah, that was a pretty badass card after it went down.
Yeah, but we'll see. I mean, obviously though, the UFC is trying to show out with these picks, with these fights. I mean, anytime you have two former champs as the opener on the early prelims, the company's bringing it. So
last thing to kind of finish off the pod, the new gloves. The UFC came out with the new gloves. They did not adopt Trevor Whitman's gloves, and I think a lot of people are showing their thoughts on that in the comments. But they do have new gloves with a little bit of new technology. Hopefully, they took into account all the eye pokes that happened because of the stupid glove issue. But what do you think about the gloves overall, the colors, and also the shorts, the new shorts that have come out?
Dude, I love the color, new color in the gloves and the new shorts, especially colors and designs. You gotta let fighters, express their style and their individuality. I mean, but in the early to even mid days in the UFC, guys wore their own trunks. Like, there was no main sponsor.
Yeah, different brands of trunks, everything.
Yeah, like you had Chuck Liddell with the icicles on his shorts, and Tito Ortiz with the flames on his.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it, and let the guys. It was Bryce Mitchell was campaigning for camo.
Yeah, he was the first.
Shorts. Yeah, he was campaigning for the camo shorts for so long, and then he finally got them. I say let every fighter do that. Sean O'Malley wanted to wear the pink trunks for the champion. Dude, I don't see anything wrong with it. I think it's exciting. It's better than just seeing white and black all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think the trunks are even cooler than the glove situation. I'm happy for the change in technology of the gloves, but the gold gloves for champs, I think it's going to be title fights, they wear gold gloves, but I think it should just be the champion wears gold gloves. And then if you become champ, then you get gold gloves. So I don't know. We'll see how they do
Well, yeah,
that.
I agree with that, but I think like if you're just a regular fighter and you want to wear like orange gloves or purple gloves or something, I don't see a fucking problem with that. I mean,
Yeah, I don't either. As long as they reserve gold for champs now that they have gold, I think that would be the way to do it.
yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And the BMF fighter has to wear silver gloves. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, and I think also interim belts should be silver. But as far as the shorts go, like you said, I'll just wrap it up with this. I definitely think, I personally, which we're old school, we've been fans for a long time, I would love for them to go back to the fighters wearing maybe not even whatever shorts they want, but keep it the same brand, but give them spots to put their own sponsors on there. If they go and get sponsors that pay enough and can put a logo on there, give them like 3 to 5 spots on their shorts and like let them put some logos on there and make more money on the side. You know what I mean?
See, I can see what you're saying here, but I actually like it better without the tons of sponsors. I don't like watching a fight. I like the fact that it's different from boxing, because boxing is super commercialized with trunks having just 10,000 things
sparkly
on them. And also it's like watching a fighter turn into a NASCAR car with all the sponsors on.
But not as many though. What if there was just a few, or what if they gave them one on each leg? What would you think about that?
Well, I mean,
or would you say rather not?
Well, no, what I think would be better, like say, the UFC has the main sponsor of the gear, it's Venom. Maybe they do like another sponsorship with like Prime on one side of the short, and who's another big sponsor?
Well, they have Monster on there already.
Oh yeah,
but it's only for the Monster athletes though, because Monster's not going to sponsor everyone. You know what I mean?
Well, say a Prime wants to sponsor certain athletes, then you can put a Prime logo on there, or.
But then I think what that would do is they would only want to sponsor the biggest athletes, and then the ones who really need the sponsorship money the most aren't going to get it. You know what I mean?
I mean, I see what you're saying though. Maybe give each fighter 2 sponsorship chances for each side of their shorts. Someone can determine how big it is, but you just can't let it get out of hand, because there's some of these old fighters who are coming out with like 20 to 30 sponsors on their shorts. True.
The amateur fighters still do it, and the pros that are not in big organizations, they still do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I do not miss the days of the UFC where fighters had big-ass sponsorships on their ass when they were fighting.
I hear you.
I get you have to make money, but,
Well, Charlie, it's getting late, brother, and tomorrow we got UFC 300, so I'm excited to even get to sleep for it.
Yep, me too.
All right, bros. Appreciate you appreciate having you on. It's late, man. I can't even talk straight. But UFC 300, we're gonna be watching it tomorrow. I'll post the fight picks as usual. Thank you for watching and supporting. We're out.
All right.
All right, bro. Have a good one.